Hi everyone, Leanne and I started an amazing adventure for 1 month down under in Australia. We were invited by productivity improvers to come to Tasmania, a state of Australia way down under. Now we've never been there before. We landed in Hobart. The weather was absolutely spectacular. We met amazing people, Robert Rockefeller, who we spent a lot of time with him and his team going around to all of his businesses and working with them, teaching them lean. We traveled all over the state, all the way up to Burnie. We even made the front page of the newspaper. Can you believe it? We had spectacular food, met amazing people, saw great scenery, and traveled all over the beautiful state of Tasmania, which I cannot recommend enough. After 1 week there, we flew to Melbourne, where we started our tour around Australia. We checked into the most spectacular hotel. We met a bunch of lean maniacs that came to meet me in the lobby, and we talked for about an hour. We did a walking tour all throughout Melbourne, and we just had a great time. Now, Melbourne is the second largest city in Australia, and it's quite beautiful and has a lot of history and a lot of cool architecture and just a lot of fun streets to go down, a lot of young people everywhere. We went to a Dr. Seuss store, which was just fantastic. We saw a lot of great restaurants, and of course there were always street vendors and street musicians everywhere, and it was just a lot of fun. Great place. We went to the War Memorial for World War I and World War II, which the Australians lost more lives per capita than any other country during these wars. So that was a sobering time. And then the next day we went to a working sheep and olive oil farm. So way out into the bush, and Ross met us on his BSA motorcycle, and Sarah. They were just fantastic hosts. Their home was absolutely incredible. This is everything you would imagine Australia would look like, particularly out in the farmland. Look at this motorcycle, 1936, and he actually still rides it. This is what he likes to do. Then they took us into their beautiful home, and we got to take a ton of pictures. We had high tea. Sarah had decorated the house spectacularly. It was just so cozy, and it was so neat to be able to go into an actual home of someone in Australia. You know, it's not the typical tourist things you get to do, and the artwork was great as well. Sarah explained that there are a lot of local artists that she had hanging in the house, and the landscapes were beautiful. Traditional color in Australia is that green and that gold color, because that's the color of the eucalyptus and a lot of the vegetation there. But their home was just absolutely beautiful. They gave us great history lesson. Now, they are the second generation to work this farm, and they planted an olive grove, over 2,200 trees, and then they have tons of sheep. And then the cool thing is Ross went into the barn, pulled out a sheep, and we got to actually watch him shear it. It's quite interesting to see this. And the sheep seems to sit there with no problem. They don't have a big deal. They're pretty chill. And then they made an incredible meal for us, and the food was so healthy and delicious. And they got on the bus and wished us goodbye. But before that, I put the drone up into the air to capture this beautiful landscape out in the bush of Australia. And their farm is, well, hey, wouldn't everybody like to live like this? They planted over 250,000 trees. All these trees you see here, they planted. And the cool thing is these trees create a little bit of a microclimate, places for water to collect, and they've really done a great job taking care of this farm and building it up. Think about how much work this is. This is the actual olive grove, 2,200 trees. They make fantastic olive oil, and Sarah goes into town regularly to sell this to the restaurants and boutique stores. And then they herded some sheep for us to show us how the dogs work. What a great experience, and I got to get on Ross's BSA motorcycle. Well, there you go. Week 1 in Australia, down under Tasmania, Melbourne. Wait until you see what's next as we continue our journey down under.